Okay, so with that, we're going to turn the mic over to today's speaker, Reverend Jan Morrow Limberg. Jan, you have the floor.
There you go. Now talk.
Okay, I'll try and get the word in before it mutes again. This has been a wonderful morning. I am almost regretting I don't get to listen instead of talk. Reverend Brian told me that the theme for this month was contentment, to be content. And I trust that my talk will approach that. We'll see by the time I'm through. Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, the author of The Power of Positive Thinking and the founder of the Guideposts magazines, was walking the streets of Hong Kong one day, and he noticed a tattoo parlor. And looking in the window, there was a display of decorations that could be imprinted on bodies: patriotic slogans, anchors, flags, daggers, skulls, crossbones, and skulls and crossbones, and mermaids. And then he saw one that said, "Born to Lose." So he was really curious. He went into the shop and he asked the proprietor if people really did want that message tattooed on their bodies. And the proprietor said, yes. The last customer who wanted it had it emblazoned across his chest. And Dr. Peale asked, why on earth would anyone want to be branded with a gloomy slogan like that? And the old Chinese man replied, before tattoo on chest, tattoo already on mind. So as within, so without. Do we really know who we are? Who do we present ourselves as we're walking this planet Earth? Do we see ourselves as we truly are? Do we know we're divine beings on this planet to experience mortality, to progress further along the spiritual path? You know, many of us totally forget and haven't a clue who we really are. Those who emblazon "Born to Lose" across their chest or somewhere else on their body simply don't get it, that we're born to win. You know, the littlest ones know. They know they're divine beings. They intuitively know that they're old souls in a new experience. But those of us who are more seasoned convince them that they know nothing, that we know what they need to learn. It's that as within, so without. In Proverbs 23:7, it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And a tattoo across the chest that says "Born to Lose" is like hanging a sign around our neck saying, kick me. And then wondering why life isn't kind to us. You know, I don't know if you know anyone with a "Born to Lose" tattoo on the outside, but how many people do we know who have it tattooed inside? There's a significant difference between contentment and complacency. One who is complacent sees no need to change or move forward, no need to make any different changes in their lives, and they're happy with the status quo. One who is content with who they are still desires to be the best they can be. We need to be conscious of the way we've chosen to experience this reality, this earth experience. Anything that keeps us from being who we truly are is simply an idea. It's a thought, and a thought can be changed. You know, Albert Einstein said, your imagination is your preview of life's coming attractions. As we take responsibility for our own lives, We become the predominant creative force in our life. Using creative visualization, we have the power to consciously bring things into existence. We can lay out our life path. You know, if Einstein and the old Chinese man are correct, imagine what the guy with the Born to Lose tattoo is setting himself up for. We can envision, visualize, imagine, and create in life the circumstances and things that matter the most to us. We can create our own heaven on earth now. We can. Share your vision with those you trust most, those who are willing to listen, and you can consciously bring it forth into your experience. Take time for a spiritual life. Rediscover the practices that allow us to experience peace, serenity, and joy. Set time aside to be quiet, to read, to connect with nature. Seek out the high energy places on the planet and spend time in them. Utilize the spiritual energy we receive from those places. Ever been to Sedona, Arizona, and felt that charge, that empowerment? We need to allow this empowering energy from the outside to develop greater peace within. Contemplate, meditate, celebrate. When I was a small child in Wales, part of our schooling required that we memorize both the songs that we sang in choruses and many poems. That was a part of the culture. And I remember a poem by a Welshman named W.H. Davis. It was called Leisure, but it goes like this. What is this life if full of care we have no time to stand and stare? No time to stand beneath the boughs and stare as long as sheep and cows. No time to see as woods we pass where squirrels hide their nuts in grass. No time to see in broad daylight streams full of stars like skies at night. No time to see at beauty's glance and watch her feet as they dance. No time to see if her mouth can enrich the smile her eyes began. A poor life this, if full of care we have no time to stand and stare. And I think what Davis is approaching in this poem is the pure contentment of being here and now, being in the world right now, seeing the world, loving what we see, being so grateful and so enriched by the beauty around us. You know, we all have our own places that restore our energy and giving us a deeper awareness of our own being. Now, the ocean does it for me. And that's not that far away. It's been 30 years, but I remember a chapel in Mentone, Alabama, which was such a power center. I was there taking a workshop with Edwin Gaines. I found it really difficult to leave that chapel. I just had this sense of it pulling me back inside because there was such a feeling of completeness and of peace. So trust in the things that are unseen. When we become quiet in meditation, the spiritual guidance comes quietly. Place the request or question into the universe. Don't look hard for answers. Just give it to the universe in meditation and contemplation. The answers will find you. You know, uncluttering our lives is a good idea, to let go of the unnecessary baggage, to lighten the load physically, emotionally, and spiritually. To live in truth with ourselves. You know, physical uncluttering is pretty self-explanatory. It's simple, but not always easy to do. But it's truly rewarding when it's accomplished. Emotional uncluttering means just that, letting go of the old stuff. Now, what occurred to me as I was thinking along this line was the 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word. If you are, you don't have to remember any old stories you told. The truth is enough. Don't take anything personally, because it really isn't about us, whatever it is. Don't make assumptions. They're frequently incorrect. I refer you back to number 2. And always do your best. When we know that this is the best we can do in this present moment, we have no need for excuses and regrets. Spiritual uncluttering, do your own studying, your own searching. And when it sits well with you, release everyone else's theories, the dogma, the guilt trips, the fears. What's important is that it sits well with you. When we're clear, that is uncluttered in our own belief, we really don't need to carry somebody else's stuff around. Express gratitude for the flow of abundance and plenty in life, that we are part of the flow of all life. You know, the only thing that can dam up our supply is our own consciousness of lack, of being closed down. Now, a few minutes before I started talking, I heard a lady say, the only thing I've done is broken my neck. What gratitude for that thing, when she could have been, poor me. Oh my goodness. Look what's happened to me. You say, no, the only thing is I've broken my neck and I can live with that. How incredible is that? How enriching and how uplifting is that? That's contentment. Remember that the universe abhors a vacuum, and it will fill those places that we leave open for it. When we think and ask and speak, those open places will be filled by the universe. Be alive and aware of what's going on around us in the now moment. Release our need to meet the expectations of others. How many of us have lived the large part of our lives getting our worth for meeting the needs of other people? That's not spiritual enrichment. Become aware of our unique individual potential. Without judgment, self-correct, self-direct, and self-motivate. Without judgment. Know ourselves to be equal to all of God's magnificent creation. Be happy and dance on the earth. We get to choose our attitude. Neither is good or bad. We get to name it. I'd like to tell you a story about somebody who understood that. Now, if you've ever gone through a towboat, you know that your relationship with the person in the booth is not the most intimate relationship you'll ever have. It's going to be one of life's frequent non-encounters. And an author was driving late one morning, heading for lunch in San Francisco, and she heard loud music. It sounded like a party, and she looked around. There were no cars with their windows open, no sound trucks. And then she looked in the booth, and inside it, the man was dancing. "What are you doing?" she asked. "I'm having a party." And pointing down the rows of toll booths, she said, "What about the rest of the people?" He said, "What do those look like to you?" "They look like toll booths." "What do they look like to you?" "Vertical coffins," he said. "At 8:30 every morning, live people get in. Then they die for 8 hours. At 8:30, like Lazarus from the tomb, they emerge and go home. For 8 hours, brains on hold, dead on the job, going through the motions." She was amazed. This guy had developed a philosophy, a mythology about his job. And there were 16 people on the job, and the 17th, in precisely the same situation, refigures a way to handle it. And she couldn't help the next question. "Why is it different for you? You're having a good time." He looked at her and he said, "I knew you were going to ask that. I don't understand why anyone would think my job's boring. I have a corner office, glass on all sides. I can see the Golden Gate, San Francisco, and the Berkeley Hills. Half the Western world vacations here, and I just stroll in every day and practice dancing." We get to decide if we live and work in a vertical coffin or in a corner office, all glass, with an unlimited view of the world. And our decision will be made from our awareness of who we are being in this life. You know, Dr. Ernest Holmes, the equivalent to Science of Mind as Charles and Myrtle Fillmore to Unity, made a beautiful promise to himself written in the Science of Mind textbook, and it's called "I Keep the Promise." "I shall keep the promise that I have made to myself. I shall never again tell myself that I am poor, sick, weak, or unhappy. I shall not lie to myself anymore, but shall daily speak the truth to my inner soul, telling it that it is wonderful and marvelous, that it is one with the great cause of all life, truth, power, and action. I shall whisper these things into my soul until it breaks forth into songs of joy with the realization of its limitless possibilities. I shall assure my soul." Will you join me in making that promise to ourselves? Namaste.